Good morning, everyone. It's Cynthia with your daily tarot card of the day. Welcome in. Thank you so much for being here. This week we're using the Shaman Wisdom Oracle, and I'm going to bring you some general messages for the collective regarding today's energies. Take what resonates and leave the rest behind. These messages are timeless, so whenever you happen to find it and you're inspired to watch, you're likely to find something here for you. But above all else, tune into your own intuition, your own higher self, inner guidance, spirit guides, so that whatever card comes up, you might receive your own personal insights and messages. One more shuffle, and then we will cut the deck. Whew. Squash. Wonderful. 'Tis the season for pumpkins. Feminine energy to the west, earth and water elements. 34, number 7. Squash does hold a lot of wisdom, and it's definitely, there's something here about being grounded while balancing emotions. And again, the west, the autumn season, squashes. So we've gotten past like zucchini and summer squash, and we're into like pumpkins and acorn squash and spaghetti squash and butternut squash, etc., etc. So I'm getting this energy of self-nurturance, groundedness and centeredness. So pay attention to really, in one sense, flows of emotions. So emotions can rise and fall like waves, and there could be a heightened sense of empathic response, empathy, compassion, sensitivities, and that kind of a thing. So today could have an emotional quality of the day. There can also be some kind of like, sort of nostalgia going on. Not exactly sure where that's coming from. Almost like a review of the past or a situation or a relationship. I mean, you could come across, a little sentimental item or a photograph, or just something triggers a memory, and you could have a moment like that. For whatever reason, I kind of feel like if something like that does show up for you in your experience today, it almost seems like a synchronicity. And it could be a sign from like an ancestor or a loved one. Only take that if it resonates, though. It could just be synchronicities from your guides and your heightened sense of awareness of the synchronicities. So it might not be so much like it could be more of like your psychic senses as opposed to sensitivities or emotional triggers to memories and things from the past. But one way or the other, that type of energy seems to be coming up. So it'll show up for you in whatever way resonates the most with what you're currently going through. But again, it's that energy of self-nurturance, of being grounded and centered, and kind of like, I'm getting this visual of like waves breaking on a shoreline. So, emotions can come in waves and rise and fall, and we just have to allow them to go with the flow without getting too hung up on specifics, either specifics of the emotions or specifics of the thoughts and memories that are triggered by those emotions. But there's something here about wisdom to be gained. There's a certain amount of, so you might feel it might come and inspire you to create something. So whether you're writing or journaling or painting or crafting or, you could be in your kitchen cooking. You could be, making an old family recipe or something of that nature, right? So there could be some kind of creative aspect or self-expressive aspect that could be inspired through this experience. There could also just be a creative inspiration if there had been a project or something that you were working on, something about the synchronicity or, again, the going with the flow or taking some time for self-care, and then it's like an aha moment and you're like, oh, that's the solution to the problem, or that's the next step, or that's how I'm going to work it. Or it might not even come in that form. It could come in the sense of like an inspiration of, wow, I really feel like doing this, and then you do that thing when you get inspired to, and then it's like one thing leads to another, and the next thing you know, you've started a new project, or you've actually made some headway on something you've been working on, or almost like getting past a writer's block, where it's like you get inspired to do one thing, and then all the inspiration and actually following and acting on what you're feeling, what you're being inspired to do, leads you towards, making headway on something. So there's definitely a creative aspect, but there's a sense of wanting to start off with self-nurturance, start off with self-care, relax and ease into things. And again, if there seems to be something going on in your life or experience where you're processing lots of emotions, it's almost like letting them come and go in their waves and just kind of working through it. There's something with the 4 number there as well about sort of stability or structure, or like foundations. I feel with this one, rather than like organizing and putting order to stuff, which, if that makes sense to you, then go for it. But I'm getting this sense of like something foundational, something solid, something secure. So I feel like it has to do with that. So, you might find yourself working on like the initial steps of doing something or working with certain energy. But again, I'm feeling a sense of like ancestral support. It feels like there's like a gathering of sentient energies around you, spirit guides, ancestors, loved ones, angels, however it is that you look at it. But I feel like there's this supportive energy that's sort of gathering around and bringing through certain synchronicities. So 3 and 4 is a 7 vibe. And again, that's a wisdom number. There's wisdom in self-nurturance. There's wisdom in watching the emotions, letting them come and feeling them without denying them, but then also letting them go. And the thoughts that come with them as well. A passion or an inspiration or an aha moment is going to stick with you before and after the emotions, even if it's triggered by an emotion or a thought, right? That's going to be pretty level and kind of have a steady vibe, right? There's a steady energetic frequency to that resonates with you. Whereas some of the ego emotions that get tied up in both our creative and our logical thoughts, those can kind of come and go. They can flip on and flip off. And there's something here in discerning that, because wisdom does come from feeling our emotions, having certain memories, remembering certain things, or following a logical thought process even. But there's something here about discerning when to let go of that wave, because there's something you need to focus on versus, hanging on to it. Like if a surfer is out on the water and the wave comes in, they ride it, but when the wave pulls back again, they're on shore. They have to stand up and they have to let it go and, make their way back out if they want to ride another wave, right? So it's not like clinging to the wave or staying on the surfboard being pummeled and then pulled back out by the undertow. You know what I mean? Like there's a ride it in, settle yourself, and then make your way back out. You know what I mean? Going through the process, right? So there's something in here about the inspiration, the wisdom, the communication, that can come up from observing these things without being attached to the experience of them. Again, I'm getting this, they're showing me waves, and I'm getting the waves of emotion, letting them come and go, and moving through it at a steady pace. Gleaning the wisdom and saying, aha, and then, making steps or doing a particular thing, whether that be returning to whatever by way of self-care that you were doing, or whatever by way of creativity you were doing, or whatever by way of, work or projects or whatever that you were doing. So it's almost like, there's this balance, again, that earth and water, being grounded, practical, moving through certain things, but also allowing the tide to come and go. And it's almost like that feminine aspect of observance, observing things, and allowing the experience of them to unfold, but again, without fully, I want to say, like, receiving. So it's not like receiving feminine energy where you're taking something into yourself and sort of holding it and owning it. This has less of an attachment, or rather a more healthy attachment in terms of the experience. It's an observance, it's a full engagement, but it's not a holding tightly onto, sort of a processing. And that West energy really brings me back to either something from the past or something that's changing, or an aspect of introspection that again brings out a certain amount of feelings of safety and security, or addressing those if they're not there, and creativity and self-expression. And again, that intuition and that wisdom that can be gained from these experiences. And there's definitely a sense of support. The 3 energy, aside from creativity and self-expression, there's also an aspect of that 3 energy that's very sociable and kind of either reaches out to others in service or likes to receive others in being social and being kind of group oriented in a certain way. So even for someone who would qualify themselves as an introvert, right? There's still that energy of being in relationship to others, whether you work with others or whether you have family or, friends, either small friend group or one-on-one relationships, but there's still that aspect of being, of having that social connectedness going on. But what I'm getting from this 3 is it's either a support network that's around you, either in community or family or friends or work or team at work or something of that nature, or this is referring to, because I am getting this huge spiritual energy of love and support. And so it could be that support network of, again, ancestors, past loved ones, angels, even animals. So I don't know if it would be animal spirit guides or if you have pets, more than one. But, there's some kind of a support network that's vibing with that 3 as well. There's a creative aspect, but there's also that support network aspect. So I certainly hope that those messages bring some kind of confirmation or reassurance of some sort and kind of open us up to moving through today's energies. There seems to be some kind of heightened sensitivity. There seems to be some synchronicities going on. And there seems to be, again, that need for self-nurturance, self-care, good food, plenty of water, but also, tapping into that support network, either energetically and vibrationally or, with those around you. And paying attention to, that observation of emotions and kind of letting them be. So there's something here about, it kind of also reminds me of like the Temperance card in the tarot or the Star card. The Star card, she's got the 2 cups and she's kneeling beside a body of water and pouring one into the water and one onto the ground. And in Temperance, 2 cups back and forth into one another, there's a blending, creating of a solution here, right? Or alchemizing something. But if you look at the feet of the figure, the angel pictured in the Temperance card, one foot is usually on the ground and the other foot is usually in a body of water. So again, it brings up that earth-water energy of being grounded and centered to find that safety and that security and that practicality, that rootedness, but also having that one foot with the thoughts and the emotions, but even deeper than that, with the intuition, with the inner guidance, with that feminine energy of observing, and so there seems to, squash definitely seems to be bringing through that energy of like the Star card or the Temperance card, where we could be processing or alchemizing something. There could be a lot of stressors going on, or again, it could just be an experience of, certain things get triggered, and it's bringing in, floods of old memories, or, different kinds of ideas. There's a self-reflective and a self-care and a self-nurturing quality, but there's also support available around you, which needs to be recognized and utilized as your comfort level allows. But there's a lot of wisdom. There's definitely something here about intuitive wisdom that's being brought to the surface. So it's more than meets the eye. It's more than just the thoughts or the emotions or the events or the to-do list or the people or the places or the things. The layer deeper than that has to do with, if I were to observe this, where's the intuition? Where's the feeling? If I let the feelings come and go, right? So I certainly hope, again, that those messages, confirm or reassure, allow you to take an approach to being open to the synchronicities that are inevitably around us. And I leave you with a lot of love and peace and blessings. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and I will be here tomorrow.